Hi, Tanya. It's Kamala Harris. How are you?
Hey, Senator, I'm excited to be talking with you, and I won't fan out Senator Harris. You know, we're all just so excited, and thank you for bringing the energy and excitement and representing so well. But talk about what it feels like to be the first African-American woman and how being a role model, a lot of pressure or not so much?
You know, I was raised by a mother who taught me and a lot of things, and she would say, Kamala, you may be the first to do many things. Make sure you're not the last. And that's the responsibility I've carried with me in every phase of my career, where I've often, sadly, been the first Black woman to hold the various positions I've held. And, you know, I feel strongly each one pull one, right? Each time we create success for ourselves, we need to create it for everybody. And when we walk through that door, we carry a lot of folks with us whose shoulders we stand, but we also need to leave the door open and make it wider for others to follow.
And, you know, we're in a season where there's just so much negative energy, and I see a lot of people coming together, but there's a lot of division, and you're having to deal with a lot of negative feedback, haters, as we say. How are you handling that?
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah. That's so true. Oh, gosh, that's just the perfect answer. You don't have to go any farther with that one, okay? Let's talk about the plan for Black America. So what are some of the things you would like to just hit on or spotlight or highlight that you guys have as a plan for Black America?
Well, look, Black America is like any other population in terms of the fact that we have many priorities, all of which need to be addressed. And so everything from what we need to do to deal with the history and the presence of racial injustice in America in its various forms, obviously in the criminal justice system, but also in terms of the economy, when we're looking at the fact that Black families own 1/10 of the wealth of white families, which is why Joe and I have a commitment to close that gap and to bring racial equity through things like a $150 billion with a B investment in low interest loans and access to capital for small businesses with an emphasis on Black and minority-owned businesses. We're going to make a $70 billion investment in our HBCUs. I'm a proud graduate of an HBCU. We know that's where we produce so many of the leaders who go on to lead nationally and internationally. We're going to deal with the fact that so many of our babies are in Title I schools, which are the schools that are, you know, the highest need and in low-income communities. And so we're going to triple the funding that goes to Title I schools, knowing that our children have so much in terms of their God-given talent, but we need to nurture them with the resources they deserve. Our focus is on what we need to do to close the racial wealth gap around understanding that home ownership is a big piece of that. And so we have a $15,000 tax credit for every first-time home buyer to help them with down payment and closing costs. And then there's what we need to do to deal with the inequities around health care. I mean, this COVID, you know, Donald Trump has been a failure, the biggest failure of any presidential administration in American history. And one of the highlights has been what we've seen around the pandemic, but in particular how it's hit Black people. Black and Latinos are actually 3 times as likely to contract the virus and twice as likely to die from it. And we know we disproportionately have pre-existing conditions, things like diabetes and high blood pressure, right? And so part of our focus is to expand Obamacare that President Obama and Vice President Biden created. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's in court trying to get rid of it. We're going to expand it. We're going to bring down Medicare eligibility to age 60. We're going to make sure that we bring down the cost of prescription drugs. And that's all about making sure that folks have the kind of opportunities they need based on economic opportunity, educational opportunity, and obviously health care. And I just want to remind everybody to vote and vote early. There's so much at stake. And I do believe North Carolina is in many, many ways going to make the decision about the outcome of this election.
What would you say about that would be what you were really good at, or if there was anything you would change, or when you were a criminal prosecutor?
Well, here's the thing. You know, I am a child of parents who marched for civil rights in the 1960s. There's not a Black man I know who has not been the subject of some kind of excessive force or racial profiling. And it was that experience that made me say, okay, to change the system, there are many ways to do it, but let's also think about how we can go inside and change it from the inside. And that's why I decided to become a prosecutor, to change the system. But I decided maybe to go up the rough side of the mountain and go on the inside to do it. And it was about then doing a variety of things. One, yes, I did prosecute child sexual assault cases. Yes, I did prosecute homicide cases. And I also, when I was the elected DA, created one of the first in the nation initiatives on reentry focused on young men predominantly who were arrested for drug sales and getting them jobs and counseling and dismissing the charges against them. I was the first Black woman elected to be district attorney in a state of 40 million people, creating programs like that. And when I did, people said, what is she doing? She's supposed to be putting people in jail, not letting them out. But now, thankfully, decades later, people see that what I was saying back then is the right way to do it. We have a problem with our incarceration in this country, and we've got to deal with it. Joe and I are committed to reforming the system. We're going to ban chokeholds and carotid holds. George Floyd would be alive today if that were the case. We're going to get rid of private prisons and cash bail. That's one of the things I've been a leader on in the United States Senate, because folks are sitting in jail simply because they don't have enough money to get out. That's an economic justice issue as well as a criminal justice issue. And the bottom line is this. Look, we know what is broken in the system, and we need to change the system and reform the system. And one very important way to do it is from the inside, which is what I intend to continue doing, and God willing, when we win this election in 13 days.
Yes, indeed. Senator Harris, it's been truly an honor. I'm a Delta, and we couldn't be more proud. And thank you for all the energy, and keep fighting, since we're all here with you. So thank you.
Thank you,
truly
my
humbled.
Delta sister.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. All the best.
Take care. Okay?
All right. You do the
Bye-bye.
same. Bye.